have the great honor of introducing one of our community's most impactful leaders. Jennifer Lockwood Shabat is the president and the CEO of the Washington Area Women's Foundation. She is a dear friend who always finds time to make the people around her feel better and bolder. She never loses sight of what's important. She's always got a listening ear and a heart, and I'm so grateful for her imprint on my life. She has devoted her entire career to improving the lives of low-income and underserved women and girls. Please now welcome Jennifer to the stage.
Thank you, Leslie, for that wonderful introduction, and I feel so honored to be able to call you a friend, so thank you so much for being here today. Good afternoon, everyone. Wow. I'm always blown away whenever I walk into this room. There is such energy and excitement and enthusiasm. It's truly contagious. And every year, I always leave feeling incredibly inspired. And really, how could you not be inspired by Karen and Juanita? I'm truly unbelievable. I want to thank you both for the courage that I know it took to stand here today and share your personal stories, so thank you. You know, something that Karen said earlier really resonated with me. She said, you can't find balance after pulling yourself up by your bootstraps without a community of support. And at the Women's Foundation, that's what we're all about, building and mobilizing community. And it's the power of that community that unites all of us here today. It's absolutely no mistake that the theme of our luncheon this year is Together We Thrive, because we know that when we bring community together, we achieve better outcomes. And in the 18 years since the Women's Foundation was created, we've certainly made incredible strides. Last year alone, our grant investments reached more than 3,600 women, and we helped them increase their income and assets by $3.6 million. Thank you. But we all know that the reality of today is that not everyone in our community is thriving. And in particular, women and girls of color face systemic challenges that stand in their way. And rather than lifting up the strength and resilience and hope that is resident in our communities across the country, some of the current public discourse is dragging us down. And so I've spent a lot of time thinking about that and trying to figure out just exactly what I wanted to say to you today. As a white woman leading this organization, in this moment, I've thought deeply about my role as a community leader in advancing racial equity. I acknowledge my privilege as a white woman, and I acknowledge the privilege and the power that inherently comes with philanthropy. Frankly, on some level, it's probably easy to hide behind that and go about my day. But it's hard to have difficult and uncomfortable conversations with our family, our friends, our colleagues. It's hard to confront and challenge the unconscious biases that we all have. But at the end of the day, I can't honestly look into my daughter's eyes and say that I did all that I could to create a better community for women and girls if I remain silent when I see deep injustices happening around me. Last year, I stood on this stage and I talked about the need for bold action. I'm a firm believer in don't talk, act, don't say, show, don't promise, prove. And that is why today, the Women's Foundation is publicly committing to advancing equity for women and girls of color and tackling racism head on so that we can truly advance our mission. We must use our voice, our resources, and the community that we've created to remove barriers women and girls of color face. As you've heard throughout the day, the mission of the Women's Foundation is to mobilize our community to ensure that economically vulnerable women and girls have the resources they need to thrive. Economic security has been central to our mission since our founding, but it's not enough to simply say economically vulnerable women and girls. We have to be intentional and explicit in our language and our actions. We can no longer leave unsaid the realities facing women and girls of color. While race has always been implicit in our work, now we are committing to explicitly applying a racial equity lens to our convening, our research and advocacy agenda, and our grant investments. But most importantly, we are committed to ensuring that women and girls of color not only have a seat at the table, but they are driving the solutions. And we'll start by launching a Young Women's Initiative, which will be co-designed with young women of color and other leaders in our community, many of whom are with us today. The goal will be to craft policy recommendations that address racial, gender, and other disparities. And I'm pleased to say that we're doing this in collaboration with 7 other women's foundations from across the country as part of a broader effort called Prosperity Together. We are also partnering with the White House Council on Women and Girls. As a first step in this initiative, we are listening, truly listening, to the concerns and challenges facing women and girls of color in our community. Issues that limit their ability to achieve higher paying jobs, issues that threaten their own safety, and issues that jeopardize the health and well-being of their children. And just to be clear, when I say issues, what I'm referring to are the policies and practices that disadvantage and disempower women and people of color on a routine basis. In other words, I'm talking about systemic and institutional racism. And so today, every member of my board and my staff is taking a public stand, committing to racial equity. We are all in, today, tomorrow, and for the years ahead, because this is hard work. And this is hard work that must continue long after the national conversations have faded. As we move forward in advancing equity for women and girls of color, I ask you to join us. Stand with us. Stand with us as we work together to understand the root causes of inequality and inequity in our city and develop plans together to create change. Stand with us if you believe that it's time we write a new narrative that celebrates, embraces, and lifts up women and girls of color. Stand with us if you believe that together we thrive. Thank you. Thank you.